We are in Book 9, the Book of Eternal Night, and Canto 2, the Journey in Eternal Night. And we have reached the point where there's a dialogue, a conversation going on between Savitri and the god of death. He wants to persuade her to go back to the earth, to stop following the spirit of Shraddhavan. And he's even granted her a boon. He's told her, choose a life's hopes for thy deceiving prize. And she asks, whatever Shraddhavan wished for and did not have in his lifetime, give me that. And she says, give if you can, no, if you must. I'm not asking for anything, but if you have to give me something, then give me that. And if you want to refuse, if you're able to refuse, then you can refuse. I'm not here as a beggar. So that makes him very angry. And he scolds her and says, who do you think you are, no? That you can follow me to my kingdom? No? But at the end of his scolding, he says, I'm going to take from you this black eternal grip. You are still alive. You can go back. Depart in peace, if peace for man is just. I think that's where we stopped last time. So now Savitri is going to answer him. But Savitri answered, meeting scorn with scorn, the mortal woman to the dreadful Lord. Who is this God imagined by thy night, contemptuously creating worlds disdained, who made for vanity the brilliant stars? Not he who has reared his temple in my thoughts and made his sacred floor my human heart. My God is will and triumphs in his paths. My God is love and sweetly suffers all. To him I have offered hope for sacrifice and gave my longings as a sacrament. Who shall prohibit or hedge in his course the wonderful, the charioteer, the swift? A traveler of the million roads of life, his steps, familiar with the lights of heaven, tread without pain the sword-paved courts of hell. There he descends to edge eternal joy. Love's golden wings have power to fan thy void. The eyes of love gaze star-like through death's night. The feet of love tread naked hardest worlds. He labors in the depths, exults on the heights. He shall remake thy universe, O death. She spoke, and for a while no voice replied, while still they travelled through the trackless night, and still that gleam was like a pallid eye troubling the darkness with its doubtful gaze. So let's go back and read sentence by sentence. You're beginning today, Dhanalakshan?
But Savitri answered, meeting scorn is scorn, the mortal woman to the dreadful Lord. Who is this God, imagined by thy mind, contemptuously creating worlds thus thine? Who made for vanity the brilliant stars?
Yes. So Savitri has an answer for him. He has spoken to her very scornfully, very contemptuously, with disdain, looking down from a great height on this worthless creature. He has mocked her, he has threatened her, he has treated her very disrespectfully. No? And now she's giving back as good as she received. Just as he can be scornful, she can also be scornful. She says, what are you talking about? Who is this God? No? You are imagining in your darkness. This God, you say, is creating the worlds which he disdains, which he does not care about, which he thinks are rubbish. Contemptuously creating worlds disdained, and who has made these brilliant stars in vain, for nothing, for vanity. Because he said, no, I have made all these things. And he asked her, have you got God wings or feet that tread my stars? No? Now she will tell him what kind of wings she has. But first of all, she says, who is this God that you are talking about? I don't believe in him. You will read, Hannah?
Not he who has reared his temple in my thought and made his sacred floor my human heart.
She says, my God is quite different. He has built his temple in my thoughts, in my human thoughts, in my human minds. And he's accepted my human heart as a place to set his feet. No? I'm a temple for my God. And then she describes what is the God that she believes in, Suresh.
My God is will and trim in his birth. My God is love and sweetly suffers all.
Yes, he says, my God is will. And when he wants something, he will achieve it. He has the power to achieve what he wants. He triumphs. Triumph is when you are victorious, when you win. Yeah? What he sets out to do, he does it. And he's also love. And she says, he sweetly suffers all. We have to be careful about this word suffers here. Usually we say somebody suffers, that he has grief and pain. But this word can also mean to allow. In the Bible, Jesus said there were many people crowding around him, and his disciples were shooing the children away. And Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me. Allow them. Let them come to me. So she says, my God is full of love, and he doesn't punish and he doesn't scold. He sweetly allows everything. Bomb.
To him I have offered for sacrifice and gave my longings as a sacrament.
Yes, she says, I have made offerings to my God. Offerings in the form of hopes, great hopes. And my longings, the things that I was wanting very, very much, I've offered to him as a sacrament. A sacrament is also another word for a sacrifice. So this wish of hers to have Satyavan be able to return to earth, it's not a selfish desire. She's going to explain later on about that. It's a sacrament, it's something that I'm offering to God as a sacred hope, a sacred wish. Patricia.
Who shall prohibit or hedge in his course? The wonderful, the charioteer.
Yes. Who's going to tell my God where he can't go? You prohibit somebody. You say, no, forbidden, no entry. Who can stop him? And who can limit his course, the way that he is going? Who can say, no, don't go here, don't go there? You can't, it's not possible. Who can hedge in his course? Because he is the wonderful. He is the charioteer. He's Lord Krishna. He's the swift. He moves quickly. Nobody can stop him. And then she describes some more things about him. Mila.
A traveler of the million roads of life, his steps familiar with the lights of heaven, tread without pain the sword-paved courts of hell. There he descends to age eternal joy.
Yes. My God, she says, travels the million roads of life. He's traveling here with all of us. He is very familiar with the lights of heaven, with the higher levels of consciousness. But at the same time, he can go down into the very deepest, darkest, most painful places. He treads without pain. He doesn't suffer by having to travel through hell, through those terrible worlds of suffering and grief, where the courts, the floors are paved with swords. If we would walk there, our feet would be cut and bleeding. But he is not touched by that suffering. He goes down there, she says, to edge eternal joy. He is the very nature of eternal joy. And all experiences are delightful to him. And even those painful, sword-paved courts of hell allow him to experience a certain kind of delight.
To edge is the word then.
To edge. When you give an edge to something, of course it's like sharpening a knife, but it means to make it more interesting, more exciting, because it's not just ordinary and straightforward. There's an edge to it. Sometimes people give an edge to their words also. Here it means to intensify. And then he said, have you got wings? Now she's going to give her answer, Chandra.
Love's golden wings have power to fan thy point. The eyes of love there starlight to its night. The feet of love tread naked hardest voice.
Yes. So you ask me if I've got wings. I've got the wings of love, she says. Love's golden wings are powerful enough to fan thy emptiness. Usually I think our wings will not work if there's no air, if there's no atmosphere. But she says the wings of love can go anywhere. So the wings of love can go anywhere, and the feet of love, that without any covering, they can tread even in the hardest worlds, like those sword-paved courts of hell. You read? Yes? Yes?
He labors in the depths, exalts on the heights. He shall be weak and universe over.
Yes. He, my God, he works hard in the depths. He enjoys on the heights and the highest levels. And he is going to remake this universe that you are so proud that you have made it, Death. That God of mine who is will and who is love, he's going to remake your universe. Uday.
She spoke, and there was no voice to reply. While still they travelled through the trackless night, and still that beam was like a keen-eyed trouble and the darkness with its doubtful gaze.
Yes. So after she spoke, Death doesn't reply immediately. No? Nobody replies. But still they go on moving through this darkness, this trackless night. There's no path to follow. They go on moving. And still that gleam, you remember there was a faint gleam of light in the darkness after Savitri found herself again. That gleam, that pale light, it was like a pallid eye. Pallid is something without color. And it's troubling the darkness with its doubtful gaze. That light, the darkness of night is disturbed, of this eternal night is disturbed by that faint light which seems to be questioning and challenging the power of the night. Would you read, Ma'am? Would you? Yes?
Then once more came a deep and perilous pause in that unreal journey through that blind night.
Continue to the quotation marks.
Once more it paused. The words in the void arose, and death made answer to the human soul.
Thank you. So they stop moving. There's a pause. There's a deep and perilous pause. There's something dangerous, threatening about that pause in that journey that they are making, that unreal journey through blind naught, through blind nothingness. It's so dark they can't really see, only that pale light is there. And in that pause, once more, there's a thought, a word. Death has thought of something. He's going to say something. In that emptiness, the sound of his voice comes as death replies to the human soul. Savitri has been speaking for the human soul. She's been expressing the aspiration and the knowledge of the human soul. Now he's going to challenge her again. Joel.
What is thy hope? To what dost thou aspire? This is thy body's sweetest lure of bliss, assailed by pain, a frail, precarious form, to please for a few years thy faltering sense with honey of physical longings and the heart's fire, and a vain oneness seeking to embrace the brilliant idol of a fugitive hour.
Yes. So why are you following me? Why are you following Shraddhavan? What are you hoping for? What are you wanting to gain? What are you aspiring for? He says all you want is your husband back. Because you love to have his embrace. This is what your body wants. This is your body's sweetest lure of bliss, the attraction of this happiness. Your body is attacked by pain. It's a very frail, precarious form. Something that's frail is not strong. It can easily collapse or break. And your form is precarious. It's not going to last long. It's not sturdy and long-lasting. It's in danger. So, but the best thing that your body can have, is to please for a few years your senses, your faltering senses. Faltering is if it is also not sure, it's doubtful. You to please the senses of your bodies that are not really very powerful. They can't enjoy very much. But you want to please them with the honey of physical longings and with the fire of the heart, the passion of the heart. What you are seeking is oneness, but that is a vain oneness. It's not a real oneness. You want to embrace this idol. An idol is an image of love or an image of a god. The body of Shraddhavan is your idol for a fugitive hour, for a short time. Fugitive is somebody who runs away. Yeah. So he asks her, why are you asking for this? Do you think this is worth something? Do you think it's worth all this effort to follow me through the night? That's what you want.
These lines can be taken for the whole human life also, human beings.
Well, he's challenging her. He's saying this love that you are talking about, it's just something physical, of the senses. Perhaps that brings some affection, but it doesn't have any real value. This is his view of things. I can't see who's there behind Joel. Sorry, Shamala, can you read?
Yes.
Yes.
And thou, what art thou? Soul, thou glorious dream of brief emotions, made and glittering thoughts, a thin dance of fireflies speeding through the night, a sparkling ferment in life's sunlit night.
This is what he thinks of the soul. What are you, oh soul? You're just a dream. Okay, a glorious dream. But you're just a dream made out of brief emotions, feelings that don't last long, and glittering thoughts. We have a proverb that all that glitters is not gold. So you buy cheap jewelry in the bazaar, it's glittery, it's not worth anything. No? Your thoughts may be like that, glittering thoughts. Or it's like a dance of fireflies. You know these little flies in the night, and they're flashing their lights on and off. That's all you are, a thin dance of fireflies speeding through the night. A sparkling ferment in life's sunlit mire. Mire is mud. And if it's organic mud, then something decomposes there and there are gases released. And sometimes those gases catch fire. They give a light. Yes? A ferment. It's fermentation when there's some process of decay going on. So you, soul, you are just one of these natural processes. You give some apparent light, but it's nothing, it's not really worth anything at all. This is his scorn, his contempt. But it's a beautiful line, no? A sparkling ferment in life's sunlit mire. Varadarajan.
Wilt thou claim immortality, O heart, crying against the eternal witnesses, that thou and he are endless powers and last? Death only lasts, and that inconscient void.
Yes. He says, I'm the beginning and the end of everything. And are you going to claim immortality, that you are eternal, that you are not subject to death? Crying out against all these eternal witnesses, everything in the universe, that thou, you, Savitri, and he, Shraddhavan, are endless powers, that you have the power to last through eternity. You're just feeble human beings. Death only lasts. The only thing that's eternal is death. And this void, this emptiness, which has no consciousness in it at all. Sarojini.
I only am eternal and
Endure.
I am the selfless, fermentable mass. I am the emptiness that men call space. I am a timeless nothingness carrying on. I am the illimitable, the mute alone. I did, and he, there is no other God.
Yes. So he's really claiming a lot. Yes. I am eternal. I endure. I last. I am all this vastness of the universe, shapeless, formidable, so powerful. I am the emptiness that men call space. In me there's no time, there's nothing. I am a timeless nothingness. I'm carrying everything, but temporarily. Soon I will swallow it all up again. No. I am the illimitable, no boundaries to me. I am the mute alone, the silent one, the only one, the one without any second. I, death, am he. There is no other God. He's trying to make her believe this, but Savitri has experienced that this is not true. He's not going to impress her at all. Gumsun.
All from my depths are born, they live by death. All to my depths return, then are no more. I have made a world by my inconscient force.
Yes. So from this nothingness, from this timelessness, everything, all these appearances, whatever you believe in, all these things are born from my depths. And they live by me. And everything returns back into me. And then they don't exist anymore. I have made a world by my inconscient force. The knowledge tells us that conscious force has made the world. But he says, by my inconscient force. And of course, that's a little bit what the modern scientists tell us, that all this world has been made by energy, it's constituted of energy, and that energy is unconscious. There's no consciousness in it. Sergei.
My force is nature that parades and slays, the hearts that hope, the limbs that long to live. I have made man your instrument and slave. His body I made, my benefit, his life, my food.
Yes. So this inconscient force of mine is nature. And it's nature that does all the creating, and nature that does all the killing. To slay is to destroy. That slays hearts like yours, Savitri, that hope, and the limbs, the bodies that long to live. I have made man, human beings, as the instrument and slave of nature. And I am hunger, I am death, I eat him up. A banquet is a wonderful meal, a marriage feast. No? His body, I made my banquet. The physical part of us is being eaten up all the time. And our life also, he says, he's feeding on our life energy. Martin.
Man has no other help, but only death. He comes to me at his end for rest and peace. I, death, am the one refuge of thy soul.
Yes, that's what he would like us to think. And only death, that's the only thing we can hope for. At the end, that's what we want, the peace of death. I am the only refuge, the only safe place, the only savior of your soul. Bhavana.
The gods to whom man prays can help, not man. They are my imaginations and my moods, reflected in him by illusion's power.
Yes. Human beings pray to the gods, no? But those they can't help because they don't exist either. I've imagined they are just my imaginations. I've thought them up, or they are moods of me, of myself, and they get reflected in man by the power of my power of illusion. Parry.
That which thou seest as thy immortal self is a shadow
icon of my infinite. Is that indeed dreaming of eternity?
Yes.
I am the new
Well,
world in which all things move. I am the nude in which fate sees. I have no body and no tongue to speak. I commune not with human eye and ear. Only by thought came a figure to my brain.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Enough. Let's have a look at this. You think, Savitri, that you have an immortal self. But it's just a shadow, an icon. An icon is something like an idol. It's a sacred picture. A shadowy icon of my infinite. You think you have that immortal self. It's just me. It's death in you dreaming of eternity. I am the immobile. I don't move. Nothing can move me. Something that's immobile does not move. But in me, all things are moving. No? He says, I am the nude inane in which they cease. What is inane is meaningless. And he says, I'm that meaninglessness into which everything collapses. And I'm nude, I'm not covering anything up. That's what I am. Everything will dissolve into me, into my meaningless. I have no body, and I don't need a tongue to speak, he says. I don't communicate with the human eye or the human ear. Only your thought has shaped me so that I could communicate with you. No? I'm just an emptiness, a shapelessness without eyes and ears. Rosa.
Because, O aspirant to divinity, thou callest me to rescue with thy soul. I have assumed a face, a form, a voice.
Yes, I think that's a good place to stop. He says, I don't really have a form, but because you, Savitri, you're aspiring to divinity, you have called me to wrestle, to fight in a close embrace with thy soul. So, in order to fight with you, I've put on this face, this form, this voice. And now he's going to speak about if there were a God, what would he be like? But we will read that next week. So we'll go back to line 343. We can read from there. But Savitri answered, meeting scorn with scorn, the mortal woman to the dreadful Lord. Who is this God imagined by thy night, contemptuously creating worlds disdained, who made for vanity the brilliant stars? Not he who has reared his temple in my thoughts, and made his sacred floor my human heart. My God is will, and triumphs in his paths. My God is love, and sweetly suffers all To him I have offered hope for sacrifice, and gave my longings as a sacrament. Who shall prohibit or hedge in his course? The wonderful, the charioteer, the swift. A traveller of the million roads of life, his steps, familiar with the lights of heaven, tread without pain the sword-paved courts of hell. There he descends to edge eternal joy. Love's golden wings have power to fan thy void. The eyes of love gaze star-like through death's night. The feet of love tread naked hardest worlds. He labors in the depths, exults on the heights. He shall remake thy universe, O death. She spoke, and for a while no voice replied, while still they travelled through the trackless night. And still that gleam was like a pallid eye, troubling the darkness with its doubtful gaze. Then once more came a deep and perilous pause in that unreal journey through blind naught. Once more a thought, a word in the void arose, and death made answer to the human soul. What is thy hope? To what dost thou aspire? This is thy body's sweetest lure of bliss, assailed by pain, a frail, precarious form, to please for a few years thy faltering sense with honey of physical longings and the heart's fire, and a vain oneness seeking to embrace the brilliant idol of a fugitive hour. And thou, what art thou, soul, thou glorious dream of brief emotions made and glittering thoughts, a thin dance of fireflies speeding through the night, a sparkling ferment in life's sunlit mire? Wilt thou claim immortality, O heart, crying against the eternal witnesses that thou and he are endless powers and last? Death only lasts, and the inconscient void. I only am eternal and endure. I am the shapeless, formidable vast. I am the emptiness that men call space. I am a timeless nothingness, carrying all. I am the illimitable, the mute alone. I, death, am he. There is no other God. All from my depths are born. They live by death. All to my depths return and are no more. I have made a world by my inconscient force. My force is nature that creates and slays the hearts that hope, the limbs that long to live. I have made man her instrument and slave. His body I made my banquet, his life my food. Man has no other help, but only death. He comes to me at his end for rest and peace. I, death, am the one refuge of thy soul. The gods to whom man prays can help not man. They are my imaginations and my moods, reflected in him by illusion's power. That which thou seest as thy immortal self is a shadowy icon of my infinite. Is death in thee, dreaming of eternity? I am the immobile in which all things move. I am the nude inane in which they cease. I have no body and no tongue to speak. I commune not with human eye and ear. Only thy thought gave a figure to my void, because, O aspirant to divinity, thou calledst me to wrestle with thy soul. I have assumed a face, a form, a voice.